Madube, Madube, Lafia. How y'all doing? It's your favorite friendly neighborhood priest, Onan. I'm in Ganzi. Nana told me see habla kruta fair I did do fair. How y'all doing today? So today we're gonna talk briefly about something that's a little weighty, a little heavy, but it's very modern. It's a very current concern. Uh, like I said before, this series of programs that I do, right, is for the it's not for the established exponent of voodoo, right? It's for the layperson or the person that's getting introduced to it, the person who doesn't know anything about it and they want to know what to do with it. Voodoo is it's a faith like all others, and like all other faiths, they have their do's and don'ts. Uh, um, and yeah, uh, and so when you come into a new practice, uh, I know a lot of people wish it was a case of, hey, I can do what I want to do. I can do whatever I feel like doing. It's okay. It's me do me. But that's not the case in voodoo, right? Uh, yeah, voodoo has never been a practice where you can just make up your rules as you go along. Even those who follow along without instruction um, do so intuitively with guidance from the spirits. And the only real problem in most of those cases is that rarely do people have the ability to both hear the spirits and be able to discern their voice from the spirit's voice at the same time, uh, with 100% accuracy. Right? So, um, so one of the things that you we find ourselves having to do is to discuss weighty social issues, because social issues is one of those things that it's where the world of the spirit and the world of mankind cross at. And while I do prefer to avoid politics, such as they are, um, it's part and parcel of why we have to talk about them, because voodoo is a practice of living. How do you live your life, right? It's not magic. It's not medicine. It's not all these other great and wonderful things. It's not apotheosis, right? It's just living, right? How do you live your life? What are you trying to do with the life that you have to live with? That's what voodoo is. People will try to make it something else, but they're missing the point. Voodoo is how you live your life. And in voodoo, we prefer to live our lives in accordance to the wills of heaven. And you can choose to do something different, but that's not voodoo, that's something else. Um, so, one moment. So, let's get started. Uh, so, today's weighty issue, we talked about racism. Actually, that was one of my first broadcasts. We talked about racism and how it has no place. Mhm. Well, today we're going to talk about yet another fun subject. And this one is going to be one that is going to get some very, very strong reactions to. Right? We're going to talk about abortion. I was thinking of a poetic way to say it, there isn't one. And to be perfectly honest, I'd rather not beat around the bush and dress it up and make it feel or taste like something that it's not. It is what it is. And the 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 arguments for and against it, or whatever. Listen. So here's the deal. Regardless of, this is the first thing we need to get out the way. Regardless of how you feel on the subject, and or what your conscience, ideology, or whatever, regardless of all of that, this is the thing. The ancestors and voodoos and say entrusted the gate of life to the woman, right? And this is funny. We're like, this is contradictory. So many people are going to feel like this is contradictory. The ancestors has entrusted this to the woman to open and close as she sees fit. So the decision to abort or not abort is solely, exclusively on the shoulders of the woman. Exclusively on the shoulders of the woman. So men, as men, may feel some kind of way about it, but we're not allowed to make that decision for a woman. So um, the secrets of this process belongs to her and her alone. The decision for the process belongs to her and her alone. And a lot of us are uncomfortable with that because we feel like we lost all voice in the matter. And yeah, kind of. Um, but y'all know how I feel about self-inflicted wounds. If you feel that kind of way about abortions, then I would personally recommend that you consider that um, before entering into relations with. Y'all, hold on a second. Luna, what are you doing? No, 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 what are you doing? Go. You're not gonna paint with that bowl. Pour that water out of there. I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying, but she just won't let me. Pour that water out of there. Pour that water out of there. You got a paper cup right here. Mm, I don't want to hear from none of y'all. Not nobody saying a daggone thing. Anyway, you you ain't supposed to use that for water no way. That's right. Put water in there and don't fill that up. Only halfway. I tell you what, these kids. Now, what was I saying? Oh yeah, abortions. Don't none of y'all laugh. Y'all better not. Anyway, so so the decision on whether or not to have an abortion belongs to the woman and the woman alone. All right. Um, if you can, as a man, if your opinion is elicited, I suppose that's okay, right? but it's an opinion that will be taken in consideration if she asks you. Otherwise, that's something y'all should have thought about before y'all blend it. I mean, it is what it is. So, now, having said this, that according to the voodoos, the, the decision is the woman's and the woman's alone. Um, that was an inaccurate statement. Let me make a more accurate one. Among mortals, the decision is the woman's and the woman's alone. Um, so there are four factors that figure in to whether or not um, abortion is a is a taboo act or not, right? And I'll go from the least important to the most important. Okay. So the first she's sitting over here painting, but she's gonna paint quietly, or she's gonna go back upstairs and paint in the prison that is her room. The first factor, Luna, hush your mouth. Now, if I have to tell you again, you're going upstairs. These children, I tell you, the first factor is community. Right? What does your community say? How does your community feel about whether or not you terminate a pregnancy? That's the first factor. Um, these will be the men and women of your in your space that you respect and whose opinion you require for whatever reason. Right? And that's a broad category of people. And in today's world, it's not even one that's necessarily um, defined by geography or proximity. Some of you will feel like you have to have the respect of a person that is hundreds of thousands of miles away, that you have not and may never see face to face. This is not uncommon now. It's unfortunate in my personal opinion, but it's not uncommon. So, c'est la vie. Hasn't been and it hasn't been uncommon since man gained the ability to fly. Indeed, since we've been able to create societies on opposite sides of the oceans. Um, but what does the community say is cool to do? That is one of the things you have to concern with. That is going to be your first layer of taboo, social acceptance or ostracizing. The next layer, right, will be the voodoos. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat, there are two voodoos who will have a problem with you no matter what your situation is. If you have an abortion, two will have a problem with you. Quite possibly more, but it will be at least two because voodoos are very diverse in their opinions on things. Some care, some don't care, some care a lot, some care just a little bit. Yeah. Some care as a matter of academic thought, others care because it's a personal feeling, right? One way or the other. But two care a lot, and they care a lot specifically because of what you did. The first is tohosu, We hear a lot about Tohosu because Tohosu, we consider him the spirit of royalty, right? And that's true. But more specifically, Tohosu has two functions, right? Two integral functions. The first of Tohosu's functions is to transport the soul, right, into the up from the heavens to the body. Mm. He brings that in. It's his job to ferry the souls of the living down the river, the nearest river, to be placed within the flesh and blood of this person. So now, can you imagine how pissed off he's got to be when he goes up there, grabbed his soul, he got this unborn soul already and everything to hop on this train to incarnation land, and lo and behold, he get there and there ain't no ride. He mad, the baby mad. We have no idea how much gas he had to burn for that trip. He's upset. He's upset. He's not happy at all. And Toast doesn't care about the circumstances of the child, and except in as much as he's going to guide and guard and protect any child, for particularly one who is born under unusual circumstances. For example, the child is born to royalty, right? Or the child is born with a deformity or with a illness that is ordinarily terminal, right? That's what he does. If the child is born with a birth defect, then the host takes it upon himself to, in addition to this child's head, he's gonna be there for the rest of this child's life. The child will never be alone. This is your last warning, little girl. You're gonna be in your room all day. So, uh, so Tohosu is gonna be the first voodoo that's gonna be upset about you terminating a birth, because that's a child that's a soul that was supposed to be born through that life right there. He's upset about that. He did that work, and now he gets nothing for it because he can't complete his mission. So him and that daggone child gonna mess with your fortune, mess with your life. Next is the Taji voodoo of the baby. Now, for those who don't remember, the Taji voodoo is the head voodoo, also known, well, it's the head voodoo. And then Taji voodoo did all the building that went into this child, according to the specifications of the say. He did all the work. She did all the work. And now this child ain't gonna be born because you decided to terminate. They ain't happy. At least them two ain't happy. Now you so those guys make up the second group of voodoos that you have to, the second group of gatekeepers you have to get through in order to, you have to weigh in order to make a sound decision on whether or not you're going to terminate the life of a child. The third, and arguably, well, not even arguably, it's a very important, is the ancestors. Some of the voodoos might get upset about you terminating the child. All your ancestors would get mad about it. Not maybe, will. The best you can hope for is that they'll understand your situation. That is to say, they remember when they was in a similar position, and if and when they made the same decision. or if they feel like they wouldn't have been able to make the decision that they made before, they wouldn't be able to make it now. So they'll reserve judgment until they see what happens next. But the long story short, you everybody here should be aware of voodoo cosmology. But in the event that you're not, because this is a teaching program, according to voodoo cosmology, the soul of the living dies and passes over into the abode of the ancestors. Will repose for a predetermined amount of time, and then it will return to life in the same bloodline that it was born in originally. That's a lot to unpack. So I'm gonna tell you how it's germane in this particular instance. If you terminate life, you've closed the door and burnt it down. And the more often you have abortions, right? Because they don't know how regularly this is an occurrence. The more often you induce a miscarriage or experience one, even unintentionally, the less likely it is that you will be able to carry to term a child, which means their likelihood of the voodoo's returning becomes slimmer and slimmer. This is a bad thing. Not the voodoo's, the ancestors. This is a bad thing because the troll don't want to be stuck there. They have work to do. And they start looking for cousins and stuff, waiting in lines. That it's just ridiculous. Either that or they get stuck outside of the abode of your ancestors. Your bloodline comes to an end, and so do you. So your ancestors is the third. And the last one doesn't even bother me. It shouldn't bother too many people. It's the say. The say decides, hey, this person can or cannot commit this act. And it's good because the say is the one who decides for the rest of your voodoos what you can and can't do. So if the say says it goes, it goes. So what about rape? It's horrible. It's an inhuman act. It's a terrible thing. And I'm so sorry. But according to the voodoos, all the spirits. Oh, gotta wrap this up soon. According to all the spirits, that's not your fault. That's not that baby's fault. It's that man's fault. So he should pay. And apparently, nobody cares that you gotta look at that baby's face and see the face of your assailant. But c'est la vie. That is what it is. Because that's still a viable door now. Talk to some of your ancestors. Maybe they'll let it slide off with his head. Do what you got to do. But in most instances, the spirits say, keep him, keep him. Oh, that's another thing, y'all. Those three categories are important because that's where you're gonna get your answer from, whether or not you should or should not do it. And you're gonna do what you want to do, regardless of what anybody tells you. But if you want to know how the spirits feel about it, you have to go to them, ask them, hey, look, this is my situation. And I don't want this pregnancy for whatever my reasoning is. And then they'll tell you what to do. And if they say go ahead, terminate. Just because I ain't never seen it before don't mean it don't happen. So, in short, no. So now people ask, well, why? Well, like I said, your ancestors come back through there. Your bloodline, you come back through there. But there's all the pros and cons of childhood. Oh my goodness. I can't afford children. Nobody can afford children. Nobody can afford children. If you waited to do stuff till you could afford it, you wouldn't be walking around here high signing and all this other good stuff. Look, being the devil in Prada or whatever, you know. It's not a matter of whether or not you can afford it. In fact, children is the money that the books are talking about giving you 9 times out of 10, because that is how we measure wealth. How many children you got? And they won't make it, so they'll make it so that you can eat, and they'll make it so that you can feed them. If they give them to you, they're gonna help you take care of them. But if you take it upon yourself to kill that child, then you and them gonna have an issue. So, y'all, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about today. Uh, Next time we have a discussion like that, it's gonna be something else. I already know what the topic is, but I just came off a daggone 10-hour shift and I need some sleep. Somebody got to come get this little girl, this little monstrosity. Don't roll your eyes at me. And watch this little beautiful thing so that I don't have to choke her with this belt. So there you have it, people. Abortion's bad, okay? But it's not for a man to tell. So, as a matter of fact, I didn't tell you that abortion was bad. The gods did. Myself personally, I didn't have a horse in the race because I didn't have kids at the time. So anyway, yeah, people, be good to each other. Be a good character. And peace out.